Just a quick introduction. My name is Tanya Caravel. For those who don't know me, I think most of you on the call do know me. So I have just recently been certified as a health and life coach. I spent the last 7 months studying to become certified. So I'm excited to say that I have my certification. And to give you a little bit of my background, so I actually left my 20 plus year career in high tech last summer. And it was really because I was just stretched too thin. I was working long hours. I was trying to help take care of my kids. My husband traveled a lot, and I just realized I wasn't giving my best self to anything. I wasn't giving it to my work. I wasn't giving it to my family. And so I knew something had to change. And so I decided to really make a major life change. And I've always had a passion for health and fitness, and through my sports, as well as always striving to have some balance in my life. So last fall, I enrolled in a health and life coaching program, and I very quickly realized that this is what I really want to do. And this is what I feel like I'm meant to be doing. So now that I've finished my studies and become certified, I feel really ready to help others try to feel at their best as well. So thank you all for being here today. I do hope that through some of these exercises and the information that I'm going to provide you today, that you have some good takeaways that you can start implementing right away. So enough about me. So you're all here because you care about your health and you care about your wellness. And in times like these, we really need to connect to our community. And today we're all connected because we're seeking to improve our health. And this time of sheltering in place and being at home has really given us an opportunity to reset, to evaluate what we'd like to change in our lives and in our health that wasn't really working for us before. And we've had the time to reevaluate, and now is the time to hit the reset button on our health. So what can the disorder of this pandemic reorder for you? And as you contemplate that question, I want to take you into a few deep breaths to help us relax and help us focus on our inner selves. So go ahead and close your eyes, put down your pens, relax your shoulders away from your ears, relax your eyes and your jaw, and go ahead and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And go ahead and take 2 more deep breaths. And when you have, then open your eyes. So before we get started, I want to invite you to share in the chat, which I mentioned to you earlier is that little speech bubble in the upper right corner. Share what your favorite sweet treat is and how sugar makes you feel. What do you notice happens to you when you eat sugar? I guess my video is still frozen, so I apologize. Bly says chips and dip and cookie dough. I know that well, Bly. Ice cream, comfort food, ice cream, yeah. Me too. So today we're going to talk about ways to gain more energy by balancing your blood sugar. So from a quick survey of friends and just people I've been talking to, this topic is one that many of you want to learn more about. And in the limited time that we have, we'll touch on the main aspects of this in these 30 minutes. And if anyone wants more information, I'm happy to go deeper on the topic, and you can contact me directly. So today I'm going to talk about the steps that you can take that will help you kick the sugar habit and hopefully gain more energy from balancing your blood sugar levels. Balancing blood sugar is really one of the single most important things you can do to reduce your biological and chemical stress on your body so it can heal and rebuild. So today we're going to address the following: why you crave sugar at certain times, what works and what doesn't work, what's keeping you stuck so you can get unstuck, how to handle the food and sugar cravings, 7 ways to balance your blood sugar that helps you handle your food and sugar cravings to really help your best self shine through. So with our limited time, I'm going to talk to you as much as I can about this topic. And before we finish, I'll show you how you can take it further if you want to. Oops. So one way to look at food is in terms of calories and grams of fat, which a lot of us know a lot about. But as a health coach, there's another way to look at it, and it's called the polarity of foods. So the concept of polarity is based on the concept that everything has two polarities or two extremes. So some examples might be hot and cold, or hard and soft, or noisy and quiet, light and dark. So if we take that concept of polarities and we apply it to food, we first want to consider that food is more than just fuel. It has energetic qualities that go beyond the science and mechanics of calories and fat grams and nutrient values. So for example, leafy greens that grow upwards, they have a lifting energy. Whereas root vegetables like potatoes or squash that grow deep into the ground have more grounding energy. So what does the polarity of food look like, and how might this polarity of your food actually be creating your cravings? So in the top right, you see one extreme of expansive bliss. Foods that represent this energy are represented in things like alcohol, caffeine, sugar, dairy, and to some extent, fruit. And the energy of these foods make you feel light and relaxed and happy, blissful. But when you eat too many bliss foods, you start to feel a little spacey or maybe even a little forgetful. Then on the other extreme in the bottom left are the contracted tension foods. So examples of these foods are things like salt and eggs and red meat. And these are the kinds of foods that really put meat on your bones. They make you feel grounded and focused, sometimes aggressive. But when you eat too many, you start to feel tight and agitated and perhaps even angry. So that's all fine and good. But how do the two extremes of the polarity of food, the expansive bliss and the contracted tension, relate to sugar cravings? So if your body's always trying to balance itself out, what do you think happens if you're having too many contracted foods like salt or meat or eggs? What do you think your body might start craving to balance itself out? It will crave the opposite of contracted foods. It will crave sweet, expansive foods. So have you ever found that if you have something salty, like a bag of potato chips and dip, for example, that you crave something sweet afterwards? Yeah, that's the challenge. If we have too many contracted foods, we'll crave the expansive. And if we have too many expansive foods, we'll crave the contractive. So what many people don't realize, myself included, is that we're oftentimes creating our own cravings unknowingly. So we want to find balance in the types of foods we eat and how much of them we eat. So we may want to focus on foods like fish and poultry, fruits and nuts, leafy greens, grains, root vegetables, and beans. So you can even look at activities in your life through the lens of the polarity of expansive and contractive activities. So there are things that happen in your life that are a little more contractive. they create more tension. And then there are things that are more expansive and they create more relaxation. So examples of some contractive activities are maybe working too much or staying up late and just stress in general. And right now during COVID, it certainly has been the added responsibilities of housework and taking care of our kids. So when you have too many contractive activities, you're going to crave more expansive foods because you need to relax. And for example, if your kids have been challenging you lately, or you had a really stressful day at work, what are you going to crave? Something sweet or maybe a martini. So typically expansive foods. That craving is your body trying to balance itself out again. So if you'd like to share in the chat, tell me or share with us, how do you unwind from your contractive activities? I know when I was working in high tech, after a long day of work and having to drive the kids around and get home and try and get dinner on the table, I know my expansive bliss was definitely a glass of wine. And it certainly helped ease the tension. Yeah, chocolate, wine, have a bath and a cup of tea. I like that, Sharon. Wine.
Read a book.
Another example. So so if you don't allow yourself to relax and engage in expansive activities, then you'll find yourself, as we've seen here, binging on wine or chocolate, bread, desserts. Your body's really begging for a break and needs expansive activities like sleep or reading, walking. Someone said a bath, a hot cup of tea, yoga, meditation. These are all ways that help us relax. So let's take a quick look at what's happening in the body when you consume too much sugar and why we experience that sugar high. Products containing lots of sugar usually don't contain things like fiber and fat or protein. And fiber, fat, and protein slow down the absorption of the sugar into our bloodstream. So when those nutrients aren't present, your blood sugar shoots up really fast, like to the top of a roller coaster. Now, at the top of this roller coaster, with high blood sugar, you may feel things like hyperanxiety or thirst or a headache or feel like you're bouncing off the walls. I definitely notice that when my kids have too much sugar. They're bouncing off the walls. So when you hit that high, your brain is alerted. Your brain uses about 50% of your blood sugar at any given time. So any drastic rise or fall in your blood sugar levels cause your brain to flip out. So when your blood sugar spikes up, your brain and your body aren't happy. Your body, basically, to your body, this is an emergency. So what does your body do? It secretes insulin to really bring your blood sugar back down. But here's the problem. Eating a lot of high sugar processed foods has our bodies secreting high amounts of insulin. And when the insulin is sent out, it doesn't just bring your blood sugar back down into balance. There's often too much insulin secreted and our blood sugar dips way down. And that's the blood sugar crash that you feel after your sugar high. So you may experience things like brain fog or impatience or sleepiness. I know after a glass of wine, I definitely I start yawning and get a little tired. So if you've had a blood sugar crash, now what does your body crave when you're down there in the middle of that crash? More sugar. And what happens to your blood sugar when we eat sugar again? It goes up and up and up to the top of that roller coaster. And so up and down, the cycle continues. And that's one of the reasons we start eating sugar and we quite literally can't stop and we crave it. However, if we keep eating sugar, will stay on that crazy craving roller coaster. And the roller coaster affects your mood, it causes weight gain, and it can lead to serious diseases like adult onset diabetes. But there's a little bit more to the story. So after the insulin is sent out to take the excess sugar out of our bloodstream, it has three places it takes the sugar. It takes it to our brain, it takes it to our blood cells, and it takes it to our muscles. Now, if all of those receptors are full, because we've already been eating a lot of sugar, where does that excess sugar go? Yes, you guessed it, right to your hips. That excess sugar is stored as fat. Okay. Can someone let me know if they can hear, if
Yeah,
you
I
can
can
hear me
hear
now?
you, Tanya.
Okay, great. I'm not sure where I muted myself.
About a minute ago.
A minute ago? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where was that, Sharon?
That was the cycle of insulin. So you stored it as fat, and then, but if you keep eating sugar, then the cycle keeps continuing.
Okay. Gotta love technology. Okay, so I'll repeat what I said. So if we keep eating sugar, we're going to continue on that crazy roller coaster. And the roller coaster often affects our moods and causes weight gain and leads to serious diseases like adult onset diabetes. So, and there's a little bit more to that. So after the insulin sent out to take the excess sugar out of our bloodstream, it has three places it can take the sugar: to your brain, to your blood cells, and to your muscles. Now, if all those receptors are full because you've been eating a lot of sugar lately already, where does that excess sugar go? It often goes right to our hips, or the places we don't want it to, because it stores as fat. And another thing we often don't realize is the emotional roller coaster ride that accompanies this. And our moods end up all over the place. So when we're not happy with an area of our lives, like our career or perhaps our relationships or our finances, or maybe we have the winter blues, it's sometimes so much easier to reach for sugar than to deal with what's really going on. And sometimes a sugar craving might be a message that you're actually craving something more in your life. It may also be a message to help you step into that best version of who you are. So when I'm working with clients to deconstruct their cravings, we look at not just the foods that they're eating, but also their lifestyle. So we may want to consider, what might the sugar craving be trying to tell you? Cravings can often be sending us a message that something in our lives needs attention. So on your handout, on page 2, if you look at question 1, I want you to take a minute to consider this and jot it down. What part of your life or your body is looking to be nourished? And where can you make changes or improvements? So we'll just take a minute to consider that and go ahead and write it down on your handout. Okay. So now let's look at how to get started on kicking sugar without starving or giving up that sweetness, even if you've never done it before. So we're going to look at the first page now of the handout. And the first way is to drink water. So it sounds crazy, but sometimes sweet cravings are a sign of dehydration. So oftentimes go for that glass of water and drink a full glass of water and wait a few minutes and then see if you still have that craving. Also, too much caffeine mimics a blood sugar crash as well. So you're high for a bit, but then you come crashing down and you crave sugar. So on page 2, where the questions are, take a minute to calculate how much water you should be drinking each day. So one of the ways to measure it, which is a quick and easy way, is to take your weight in pounds and divide it in 2. And this is the number of ounces you should be drinking daily. And then if you work out or you drink a cup of tea or you drink a cup of coffee, add 8 ounces for each of those. It's pretty startling how much water we should be drinking compared to what most of us are drinking. And one tip that I started implementing into my daily routine, which may help you as well, is the first thing I do in the morning is I try to drink 2 glasses. Most of the time I get through 1 before I have my cup of tea. But try and drink 2 glasses of water if you can and get those 16 ounces out of the way right off the bat. So the second is to satisfy your sweet tooth with sweet veggies, fruit, and spices. So when you feel that sugar craving coming on, you don't have to hold out, but just substitute what you might normally grab for, if it's cookies or cake or ice cream, and add a naturally sweet food to your diet. So things like nuts or carrots or berries, apples, maybe add squash and yams to your meals as well. And then some spices that you can add are things like cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and cardamom. So take a minute on your handout and jot down a few things of sweet fruits or vegetables that you can have on hand to reach for instead of sweet treats. All right. So the third way is sleep. So for many of us, this is easier said than done, but if you're constantly tired, your body's going to look for energy, usually in the form of sugar or caffeine. So try to power down an hour earlier than usual and notice if your cravings disappear. I know we've done this exercise a couple of times on my other webinars, so you can see that there's a theme around the importance of sleep. You can see how important it really is. So instead of staying up late and binge watching, I don't know, your favorite show, The Tiger King or whatever it might be, write down what time you're going to commit to going to sleep each night and try to stick to that. Okay, so the fourth is protein. Protein helps balance blood sugar by slowing down digestion. It slows down the absorption of carbs that you consume with it, and it lessens the intensity of sugar in the bloodstream. So this doesn't work for everyone, but one way to calculate how much protein one should eat is typically looking at the size of the palm of your hand. And that's how much protein you should eat with your meal. Next is doing away with low-fat and no-fat foods. So if you were like me back in the 90s when low-fat and no-fat foods came out, we were told how much healthier they were for us. Well, in fact, when food manufacturers take the fat out of foods, what do they put in? Sugar. So try to opt for that full fat option. You may not eat as much of it, or you may not want to eat as much of it, but it's definitely healthier for you. So on your handout, or actually you'll see on your handout a space to fill in what are those fat-free or low-fat foods that you're no longer going to buy. So when we get off this call, you can go to your cupboards or your fridge and take a look at what you have in there that you want to replace. Number 6, keep moving. Movement is another kind of food for your body. We all know. I know some of you just got off a yoga class, which is fun. It helps release the stress, and it makes you feel great and look great. So when you don't get enough, our body starts to look for other ways to blow off steam, like binge eating or drinking alcohol. So choose exercise over sugar. So on your handout, again, what exercises are you going to commit to each week? And try to commit to doing them at least 3 times a week. And then the last way is to create new post-meal rituals. If you're a dessert after the meal kind of person, one of the things you might love about this is actually the ritual of it. So what are other possibilities for post-meal rituals that you can start to bring into your routine? Maybe it's a cup of hot herbal tea, or it's a walk after dinner. So go ahead on your handout. What are you going to commit to changing in your post-meal ritual if you typically eat something sweet after your meal? And then the last question that I have on the handout is, what is the one thing that you could be doing for yourself that you know would have a significant impact on your health and your well-being? So we'll take a minute for you to jot that down. Because we often know what we need to do, and hopefully today was a good reminder of that. The most challenging part now is actually following through in a way that you haven't before. You've taken that first step in writing down and committing to the things that you want to change. The next step is to be accountable for those commitments. So one great way to be accountable is to share these commitments with someone else. Maybe it's your partner or your spouse or a friend, maybe a sister, or even someone like me, a coach or a health coach. And when we have someone to help us be accountable to ourselves, we're more likely to follow through. So that sort of takes us through the 7 ways to balance our blood sugar, and I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of this. I do want to share with you that this is my last webinar for the month of May, but I will be continuing to offer wellness webinars once a month, starting in June, with the first one being on Friday, June 19th. So stay tuned. I'll send out more information on the topic and all the meeting details closer to the time. So we're right at about 1 o'clock. We may have some questions. If you want to type them in the chat, I'm happy to take some questions. Yeah, so there's a question on cottage cheese. Low fat has same sugar as the regular fat one. So a lot of times they do put fillers in of some sort because they have to fill the food with something when they take the fat out. So it may not be sugar, it may be something else that's artificial or that we may not want to consume. So I don't see any other questions, but I hope you will put some of this into practice and get some benefits from it. We really need to focus on this and feed ourselves before we can feed the others around us. As they say on airplanes, put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. So if anyone would like to learn more or go deeper about anything on this topic today, I would be happy to schedule a call with you. And thank you all for being here. I'm happy to say that I've officially launched my coaching practice as a certified health and life coach. So if you or anyone you know would feel like you could benefit from my coaching programs, they're really designed to for women who are stretched too thin, who really are looking to regain control and balance in their lives. And I offer one-to-one coaching. I also offer corporate wellness coaching for business women. And I'm also offering a free 45-minute consultation for anyone if you're interested or anyone you know who might be interested. My number is on the screen, and I think most of you know how to reach me.